Hello everybody on YouTube land. This will be part 3 of Noel or Holy Yule Batman. I want to start by reading it from Ezekiel chapter 8, verses 1 through 14. And it came to be in the 6th year, in the 6th month of the 5th, in the 6th month, on the 5th of the month, as I sat in my house with the elders of Yehudah sitting before me, that the hand of the Master Yahweh fell upon me there. And I looked and saw a likeness like the appearance of fire. From his waist and downward, the appearance was like fire, and from his waist and upward, the appearance of brightness like glowing metal. And he stretched out the form of a hand and took me by a lock of my hair. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heavens and brought me in the visions of Elohim to Jerusalem, to the door of the north gate of the inner court, where the seat of the image of jealousy was which causes jealousy. And see, the esteem of the Elohim of Israel was there, like the vision that I saw in the plain. And he said to me, Son of man, please lift your eyes toward the earth. And I lifted my eyes northward, and north of the altar gate I saw this image of jealousy in the entrance. And he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they are doing? The great abominations which the house of Israel are doing, driving away my set-apart place? And you are still to see greater abominations. Then he brought me to the door of the court, and I saw a hole in the wall. And he said to me, Son of man, please dig into the wall. And when I dug into the wall, I saw a door. And he said to me, Go in and see the evil abominations which they are doing there. And I went in and looked, and saw all the kinds of creeping creatures and abominable beasts, all the idols of the house of Israel, carved all around the walls. And facing them stood 70 men of the elders of the house of Israel. And in their midst stood Yazanyahu, son of Shaphan. Each one had a censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. And he said to me, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Israel are doing in the dark, each one in the room of his idols? For they say, Yahweh does not see us. Yahweh has forsaken the land. And he said to me, You are to see greater abominations which they are doing. And he brought me into the door of the north gate of the house of Yahweh, and I saw women sitting there weeping for Tammuz. Why bring up Tammuz during a Christmas video? There are a number of sun deities celebrated and honored on December 25th, and one of them was Tammuz, back all the way in the original Babylon. Tammuz was seen by the ancient Babylonians as the reincarnation of Nimrod. It will be hard to do a video about Christmas and not talk about Saturnalia. I want to read an excerpt from an online article entitled Saturnalia, the Real Roots of Christmas. Quote, Many Christians today believe that Christmas is a Christian holiday. The fact is that people have been celebrating Christmas long before the birth of Christ. The festivity was then known as Saturnalia. I was going to call this video series Merry Saturnalia, but I went with the other name. Saturnalia was a festival in which the Romans commemorated the dedication of the temple of the god Saturn. As winter approached, they were losing harvest and were in the need of the sun in order for their harvest to grow and bear fruit. Saturn was the Roman deity of agriculture and harvest. The Roman pagans introduced into their law December 17th to the 25th as Saturnalia. During this period, Roman courts were closed, and Roman law dictated that no one could be punished for damaging property or injuring people during a week-long celebration. So pretty much anarchy. In the 4th century, the Roman Catholic Church adopted the Saturnalia festival, hoping to take the pagan masses in with it. Catholic leaders succeeded in converting to Christianity large numbers of pagans by promising them that they would continue to celebrate their Saturnalia as Christmas. Wrong. Roman Catholic Church is wrong doing that. Christians had little success, however, refining the practices of Saturnalia. As Stephen Nissenbaum, professor of history at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, writes, In return for ensuring massive observance of the anniversary of the Savior's birth, by assigning it to this resonant date, the Church, for its part, tactically agreed to allow the holiday to be celebrated more or less the way it had always been. The earliest Christmas holidays were celebrated by drinking, sexual indulgence, singing naked in the streets, which the article says is the precursor for modern caroling, etc. Christmas equals Saturnalia. You can't celebrate Christmas without observing pagan traditions of men that come from Saturnalia. You see billboards and church signs that say, "Keep Christ in Christmas." The Messiah was never in the pagan celebration to begin with. The traditions of Christmas were celebrated centuries before the Messiah was ever born. We have looked at how the Romans celebrate Christmas traditions. Now let's look at how Wiccans celebrate Christmas traditions. Wiccans don't celebrate Christmas, they celebrate Yule. But as we will see, the traditions are very similar. According to helium.com, quote, Yule was the time when people welcomed back the sun. This was symbolized with the rebirth of the Oak King, while the Holly King descended to the underworld to reign until the summer solstice. Yule is still celebrated today, not only by pagans, but atheists who simply celebrate the changing of the seasons. No God required. With the blended families of today, both Christmas and Yule can be integrated into winter festivities. Even the Nativity with its baby Jesus is similar to the Oak King being born. An evergreen tree dedicated with glowing baubles can be a symbol for everlasting life and the warm light of the sun. Caroling also has its roots in the pagan tradition of wassailing, where both orchards and neighbors were serenaded by revelers. Other symbols of the Yule include mistletoe and holly. The holly, the article that's end quote. The holly the article is referring to are wreaths. So what is this wassailing? According to you'llbemerry.com, like many other traditions, wassailing also has pagan roots. Surprise, surprise. They went from orchard to orchard to await the cider apple trees and scare away the evil spirits so they would have a good harvest come autumn. January 17th is the traditional day for wassailing. But exactly when it occurs, this is still done in England in modern times, and exactly how it is done varies from orchard to orchard. Essentially, a wassail king and queen led the festival. A song or a processional tune is played or sung. The thought was that this noise would chase away the evil spirits. It is said that many wassailers also went from door to door. Generally, these were the poor folk knocking on the door of the manor. If the Lord didn't pay out in some way with food or coins, the wassailers made unreasonable amounts of noise and were even known to vandalize the home. This door-to-door singing is believed by some to have evolved into Christmas caroling. End quote. The more I research Christmas, the more I realize how pagan it is. Yahweh commands his people to be set apart. If we are celebrating the same things that witches celebrate, that's not exactly being set apart. Can I get our main YouTube land? I want to read a verse. Tell me if you recognize it. When thou comest into the land of the foreigner, you are commanded to adopt the customs of the people, no matter how foul or abominable they are. You will serve their mighty one as though you are serving Yahweh. Mixing beliefs is acceptable, for we serve an Elohim to all people. Does this verse sound familiar to anyone? It's very easy to find. All you do is open your scriptures and turn to Philippians chapter 6, verse 4. Can't find it? That's because it's not there. The book of Philippians is a book that does not exist in the scriptures, where people come up with fallacious arguments to try to do stuff that's not scriptural. They use fallacious arguments, ridiculous arguments. The book of Philippians is nowhere in the scriptures, just like scriptural evidence for observing the pagan elements of Christmas is not in there. It sounds like something the Roman Catholic Church probably wrote. Deuteronomy 12:29-31. When Yahweh your Elohim does cut off from before you the nations which you go to dispossess, and you dispossess them and dwell in their land, guard yourselves that you are not ensnared to follow them, after they are destroyed from before you, and that they do not inquire about their mighty ones, saying, how did these nations serve their mighty ones? Do not do so to Yahweh your Elohim, for every abomination which Yahweh hates, they have done to their mighty ones, for they even burn their sons and daughters in the fire to their mighty ones. We are not to serve Yahweh the same way pagans serve their mighty ones. I'm sure we've all heard someone say something to the effect of, but I'm not celebrating Christmas for the pagan origins. I'm celebrating to serve the Lord or Jesus. That is just like the golden calf incident in Exodus. Let me go there. It's Exodus 32. Just going to read 1-6. And when the people saw that Moshe was so long in coming down from the mountain, the people gathered to Aharon and said to him, arise, make us mighty ones who go before us. For this Moshe, the man who brought us up out of the land of Mitzrayim, we do not know what has become of him. And Aharon said to them, take off the golden earrings which are in your ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me. And all the people took off the golden earrings which were in the ears and brought them to Aharon. And he took this from their hand, and he formed it with an engraving tool, and made it a molded calf. And they said, this is your mighty one, O Yisrael, that brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. And Aharon saw and built an altar before it. And Aharon called out and said, tomorrow is a festival to Yahweh. And they rose early on the next day and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and rose up to play. Aharon and the Israelites were worshiping another mighty one and calling it a festival to Yahweh. Christmas is no different than the golden calf incident. During Christmas, observers of this pagan celebration worship many mighty ones and call it a festive celebration to honor the Messiah, when in fact it has nothing to do with the Messiah at all. Just like the golden calf incident had nothing to do with Yahweh. The Elohim of the Scriptures is not worshipped and honored by the pagan traditions of men celebrated during the time of Christmas. Neither is the Messiah honored by all the ancient paganism being celebrated. Stay away from the pagan celebrations, or you'll be in a lot of trouble with Yahweh. The last scripture is Isaiah 5:20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. This verse sums up the celebration of Christmas. May we study, show ourselves approved, like Paul said. This video series might have been a lot of information to take in for some people. Please check out what I'm saying. Study for yourself. Search the truth for yourself. And you'll find that Christmas is pagan in origin. Shalom.